Good morning, guys. Well, has anything new happened in your lives? I hope that at least one good thing has happened to you in the last week and that you're having a pretty cool weekend. This upcoming week is actually Conan's birthday. He's turning 7. He's such a big boy. I'm just a little disappointed that we can't have a big party to celebrate his big birthday. We're still going to have cake and ice cream and a few presents. We're just not going to have that many guests. Maybe just a few people that have been vaccinated. I hope that by his next birthday, we won't have to worry about having a bigger party for him. He deserves to have the best party ever, but it's not a big deal. It'll be fine. We'll still have a good time. We'll probably play some video games and watch a movie and, of course, eat cake and ice cream. So it's going to be cool. Let's do our opening together, guys. Repeat after me if you'd like, or just do the hand symbols with me. We are Unitarian Universalists. We are the Church of the Open Mind, the Loving Heart, and the Helping Hands. Together, we care for our earth and work for friendship and peace in our world. Let's begin. Today, as I have with many lessons before, I'm going to start with a story. Today's lesson is something that's actually very important to me, and I feel like this story is a really good way to introduce this topic. The story is called The Strong Man Who Cried. Here goes. There once was a man named Jacob, and he cried a lot. Jacob cried when he was happy. Jacob cried when he was sad. But mostly, Jacob cried when he saw beautiful things. The sight of a fresh new flower or a sunset would fill him with happiness, and he would just cry. He couldn't help it. But his father Isaac was not happy about having a son who cried a lot. Isaac would not take Jacob hunting because Jacob would cry at the thought of some furry little animal becoming his supper. So Isaac would take his other son who loved to hunt and never cried. "Why can't you be more like your brother?" Isaac would scold Jacob. "He hunts and fights and never cries. He is a real man." And Jacob would answer, "I cry when I feel like crying. I just can't change that." Then his dad Isaac would just stomp off, kicking the dirt in frustration. Meanwhile, a few miles away, Rachel, who lived in a place called Haran, was also having trouble with her father. Rachel was a shepherd, and this drove her father crazy. Day and night he would yell at her, "Get away from those sheep and goats. Why can't you be more like your sister? She doesn't smell like sheep. She sits in the tent and cooks and sews. She is a real woman." And Rachel would answer, "I like being a shepherd. I just can't change that." Then her father would stomp off, kicking the dirt in frustration. But there was one part of shepherding Rachel did not like. The well for watering the flocks had to be covered up each day with a huge rock so that all the water wouldn't gush out and dry up. The rock was so big that every morning all the shepherds in the area had to push together to move the rock off the well. And every night they had to gather together to push it back on. One day, on the way to morning rock pushing, Rachel saw a new man at the well. He was small and fair-skinned with warm brown eyes, and he was talking with the other shepherds at the well. Suddenly, this little man, all by himself, pushed the big rock off the well. The shepherds were amazed. The man approached Rachel and said, "My name is Jacob, and I have been on a long journey. I'm very happy to meet you." Then Jacob started to cry because she was so beautiful. When the other shepherds saw Jacob crying, they said, "He is strong, but real men don't cry," and they walked away. But Rachel did not leave Jacob. She sat by him on the rock, and they watched the flocks drink from the well. Rachel said, "I never saw a man as strong as you who cries." Jacob looked at Rachel and said, "I never saw a woman so beautiful as you who is a shepherd." They laughed, and Jacob cried, and then after a time they went home together. As I said, that story is about something that's very important to me. We live in a world where boys and men are not expected to act like humans, and a lot of time girls are definitely expected not to act like humans. Men and women are both supposed to act in very specific ways. For example, if a boy or a man is crying, a lot of people will look at them and think that they're being babies, that they're weak, or they're being weird. You see, crying or showing any emotion is a normal thing for humans. Our brains are made to help us express our emotions, and crying can be a really good way for us to feel better about negative thoughts and emotions we may have. It's also normal to cry when we feel really happy or really excited. Both men and women have tear ducts, little parts of the eye that create tears. But when boys and men cry, a lot of people see that as a wrong thing to do. And actually, thinking that is wrong. It's the same thing with women. Women are expected to act in a girly way. Do things that women are supposed to do. And if they do things that people think men are supposed to do, people think that those women are weird or something is wrong with them. And again, that's just a wrong thing to think. As far as the crying, it's okay for anyone to cry if they feel like crying, no matter who they are. When we try really hard to stop ourselves from crying, we end up feeling a lot worse. Also, it's important for us to express who we really are and do what we want to do, even if people think that's not something that we're supposed to be doing because we're boys or we're girls. So, what can we do about all this? Well, you all need to listen up. For you boys, it's okay and very normal to cry if you need to cry. It doesn't make you a wuss, it doesn't make you a baby, and it doesn't make you weird. None of that. And for you girls, if you want to do something that you really want to do, if you want to be a shepherd, or you want to go play football, or you want to really love wrestling, whatever, it doesn't matter. You just do what makes you happy. And people who say that you're wrong for crying or you're wrong for liking certain things, well, they're mean and they're wrong. If you're the type of person who thinks it's weird for a boy to cry or weird for girls to do certain things, well, stop it. You're wrong. End of story. Instead of seeing it as them doing something weird and uncomfortable, you need to realize that they're just human beings doing what human beings have always done, expressing themselves and their emotions in a healthy, normal way. Don't make people feel bad or weird for showing how they really feel about something, as long as they're not hurting anyone else. That's a very unkind thing to do. And we should all be aiming to be kind, respectful, loving people to everyone around us at all times. I used to think that it wasn't okay for boys to cry. And it took me a long time to realize that it was very much okay for me to cry. And that spending all those years being afraid to cry was just making my heart and my brain both just feel worse and worse and worse. So take it from me. The best thing you can do to make sure your emotions stay healthy is to express them when you need to express them. Anyway, that's all I have for you today, guys. School is almost out, but we still have some STAR tests coming up, so make sure to keep trying really hard in school so you can do the best you possibly can on them, okay? So, make healthy choices, keep your hands washed, wear your masks, be kind and respectful, and I'll talk to you again next week. Later.